So this is my BMW R45 cafe racer. There's a tank up there. A few weeks ago I had a problem with this bike. I tried to go for a ride, and when I pressed the button for the start, it clicked, and then I tried to do it again and just nothing happened. I went through the bike, everything was fine except for this, which is a starter relay. After I replaced it, it was all fine, but what I also did at the same time of ordering this one was buy a few replacements for this bike, electrical replacements for this bike, which I've been wanting to do for years. This coil here has been problematic pretty much for the entire time I've had this bike. I think it's got a hairline crack in there, and moisture gets in there and it randomly cuts out. For this one, it's the left cylinder, and you can just hear it just suddenly cut out whilst you're riding, usually at high revs. You sit in a lay-by off the road for a few minutes, let it cool down, and it starts up again and it works perfectly fine until some random day in the future it does exactly the same thing. And I've put up with it, but whilst I bought that, I thought, fuck it, let's replace these coils, heavy coils, with a single coil which can power both cylinders. At the same time, I also bought a replacement regulator. There's nothing wrong with that one. It works, but it's 42 years old at least. And yeah, whilst I'm here, replace it. You can't see it right now, but there's a diode board, which is a rectifier really, and it rectifies the alternator output into DC and then goes into the regulator. The diode board in there is, well, they're known for failing catastrophically. They're supposedly not a good design, so says the internet. It's lasted me 42 years, admittedly not with many miles, but I thought better be safe than sorry, replace that at the same time as I'm doing the rest. Before replacing any of the electrical equipment on this bike, what I wanted to do first was tidy up this loom, and that was mainly because this bike does not have any of its original clocks or indicators or some random buzzers that this bike came with stock. Additionally, this bike also came with some random connectors for special equipment, which I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the special equipment is. I think maybe for the police bikes. So as you can see, it's, well, maybe you can't, but this is a lot cleaner than what it used to be. And also I've replaced all the original cloth tape on here. The cloth tape was really in a sorry state. It was manky, it was hanging off, bits were torn, it was just greasy, sticky fudge everywhere. So that's all gone, and I've replaced it with 3M Tempflex insulating tape. That's a lot nicer than the way it was. Additionally, I replaced some bodges I did years ago. I don't see any instances of it here. That came stock, that's stock. No, I don't see it here, but I used to use bullet connectors because that's all I could afford, donkey's back. And I've replaced a couple here and somewhere in there with some super seal connectors, which are a lot nicer. A bit chunky for what it's got to do, but it's a lot nicer. Yeah, up here I've stripped out a lot of wiring which I didn't need, and also this section here used to be one whole thing, which really restricted me on where I was going to locate that. I don't like this ignition key being here, and I want to move that. I don't know where now, but now I've got the opportunity to do that, seeing as it's disconnected from the rest of it. I wanted to change these connectors because these are 42 years old plastic and they're very brittle and they just break. You can see bits have just fallen off over the years. Every time I've moved things, they just break apart. So I wanted to do that, I couldn't. So that's the way it is. Maybe one day I'll get a fancy wiring board. I can't remember the name of it. I'll put a picture up and I'll do that and finalize this with shrink fit. But for now, it's a lot better. It's a lot better than the way it used to be. This may seem like I've done a bit of a jump cut, and it's because I realised some footage I recorded had my address in it, so I've already done some stuff with the new parts. This one here is the coil. It's the new coil. It's you can't see on here, but it says EnDuraLast on it, and I'm fairly certain it's a rebranded Dynatech coil. It's the same dimensions, same design. The problem, I've wanted Dyna coils in the past, but I haven't been able to get them, at least individually. You have to buy them as pairs, and I don't need to. So I think that's what EnDuraLast have cottoned on to and sold one of the pair. So that also came with a bracket, because the coil doesn't fit onto the frame without it. So that's all connected. I've actually already tried this, and with the plug out, it's yeah, firing all as it should be. I've relocated the electronic ignition. It's upside down. So it's a Boyer Branston Micro Digital. I'm actually not that 100% satisfied with it, but it is a marked improvement on the points I had with the sticking advanced weights. That's the box the coil came in, and I'll show some footage of the weight differences between the new coil and the two old ones, the Bosch ones, which I believe are in VW Beetles and some other old VW and Porsches. Two other items I bought at the same time is this heavy duty diode board. There we go. So that's the wiring diagram for this. So it's a bunch of terminals, 8 diodes, big chunky diodes, and a huge heatsink on it. That's it really. But that's all what this board is, and reportedly it is supposed to be superior to the original BMW one. So this is going in the bike. And it also came with a load of cables pre-crimped to length, some of it heat shrinked, and it matches the colours on this wiring diagram. It also comes with some brushes for the alternator, but I don't think I'll need them. And finally, one other item is this voltage regulator. It's a lot smaller than the original, and it's also adjustable, so you can tune what voltage this is holding the rectified output to. I'll show the difference in the size. You can see, where is it? Whoops, there it goes. It'll fit there. It's significantly smaller. It's got 3 pins on the back, and it'll match that thing there, that plug.